Louise Upston.
I move that the question be now put.
Honourable Darren Hughes, you were calling. Yeah. Sorry.
Mr Chairman.
I didn't look.
Mr Chairman. Thank you, Mr Chairman. I'm pleased to take a call on...
Point of order. Honourable Tauhina.
That member was on his behind, sitting. He didn't even call, and you called him.
I'll deal. The member called at the same time that the member who took the call. And I did not look up, but I had registered him as a member who had not had a call at this point. So I've given the call.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Mr Chairman, there is no one so angry as an ex-talkback radio host.
A point of order.
I apologise to my colleague for getting him to sit down. But, sir, I think given the ongoing flouting of your ruling from Tohanare, who was calling across the House after my colleague was invited to speak and had started speaking, he sat down. I think it might be time for you to educate him in the rules about how when a speaker is ruling, you do have to sit down.
Points of order will be heard in time. Look, I will manage the House. I'm fully aware that there's quite a bit of passion around this. I am endeavouring to give this a fair call for both sides. Darren Hughes, Honourable Darren Hughes.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. It's a pleasure to take a call on part two of this bill.
Order.
And I've listened to the member opposite, the former member of Parliament for Te Tai Tokerau, who's interjecting wildly on all members who are speaking in the debate. And one of the questions he's put to members on this side of the committee, sir, is what the position was of certain members in 2004. We never need to ask what Tohinare's position was in 2004 because we know he was on Talkback Radio as a News Talk ZB host praising Don Brash's position on this bill. So if members opposite want to raise the question of his position, he was in favour of Don Brash's position. And remember, Don Brash's position was that the existing Foreshore and Seabed Act, sir, gave Māori too many rights. The Māori Party's position on the Foreshore and Seabed Act was that it gave Māori too few rights. So this is the great reconciliation of the position in part two today, sir, trying to marry together the position of the old National Party when Tohinare's was on the Talkback Radio land, making sure that the supporters that put him into Parliament on the National Party list were against the bill, and lining up the interest today of the Māori Party on part two of the bill. And I want to tell Paul Quinn we're on to part two of the bill. The reason Paul Quinn won't know about part two of the bill is that he hasn't made a single contribution to the debate. So he's going to sit here in Parliament, National Party MPs, taking a pause from proceedings only to clear their blackberries, sir, of the emails from their supporters opposing part two of the bill. That's the only time they take a break from interjecting, is so that they can delete like crazy the hundreds of emails they're getting from people, their own supporters, who think that this is a bad piece of legislation in part two, and none of them have got the gumption to get up on their pins and speak about why part two is important. I'm going to ask the committee some questions about part two, sir, particularly clauses 11 and 17 are the parts that I want to focus on this afternoon. And I want to ask the Attorney-General, sitting in the chair, or the Minister in charge of Treaty of Waitangi issues.
A point of order, the Honourable Philip.
No, sir, and again, this member is not a quiet member, Mr Speaker, but there appear to be two members opposite who can yell and they can stand, but not both at the same time. Sir, can I just ask you to keep them a bit quieter?
The member raises a point of order which is valid in this respect, and I have constantly asked the House that interjections be rare and reasonable and that there be no barraging. But at the same time, the member who raised the point of order should not say disparaging things about another member. And so I'd caution him on that as well. So, member, rare and reasonable, Honourable Darren Hughes.
Thank you. I want to take my time now to discuss the particular clauses 11 and 17 in part 2 of the bill, particularly as it affects the mining sector. And the departmental report, which I know was not considered in any enormous detail by the Select Committee, does actually set out a lot of what the issues are in this part of the bill. And I'd like to go through what some of those issues are and seek a response from the Attorney-General to see whether or not the Committee of the Whole can get a sense of where the government's direction is heading with together, because we've heard from Māori Party speakers that this bill advances the position of Māori, and yet the departmental report raises a number of issues around the ownership and the ability for minerals to be obviously explored and then extracted from the coastal and marine area. And it's not entirely clear, sir, why New Zealand Steel and the New Zealand Minerals Industry Association have expressed such enormous concern for the ability of their industries to participate if these clauses are passed. Indeed, sir, I note that New Zealand Steel submitted that the bill would have a significant dampening effect on investment in the minerals and mining sector because it insufficiently protects existing rights and consented activity and thwarts future development. So I'd like to know from the Minister and the Chair whether or not he believes his bill, the way either the bill he has had presented, not amended by the Select Committee, but certainly with his, I think, 75-page SOP of amendments, whether or not he is satisfied that the amendments that he is pushing forward do answer those concerns about those clauses. Because, sir, if we go to particularly to clause 77 and 78 for the protection of waihi tapu, what is clear there is that the position of other speakers in the committee is that somehow these are enhanced for Māori interests or groups who are seeking customary marine title, but yet the departmental report, when it gets to the commentary of the government's position, says that the government's intent is for the existing use rights to be protected until the end of their term. So at the point where that comes up for renewal, sir, does this part of the bill kick in, or to the Minister, does this part of the bill kick in to provide for differing rights for iwi, hapu and whānau groups who are seeking customary marine title than would otherwise be the case if they did not need to use this vehicle or these clauses? That is a tension, I think, within the bill that is not... Ngāti Porou, of course, negotiated a deal under the existing Foreshore and Seabed Act. Ngāti Porou didn't need to have the Coastal and Marine Bill, as many of the National Party's own supporters are saying to members in their own email. But I want to come back, so not to be interrupted or taken astride by those members opposite, because Ngāti Porou were able to use the existing legislation to be able to do that. I'm trying to get some indication from the Minister. Mr Chairman? Mr Chairman.
Colin King.
I move that the question